in a different way.
And does it, no, it's okay, you
Yeah, no, so I was going to say, yeah, that's right. Yep. So, yes, I've got a flat ceiling there, and that then is going to sit underneath my roof, and we've got then the pictures here. That's a different building, sorry. This picture here, going back, will show us the profile of the roof, but on the parapet wall, and the roof will sit behind that. Now, we don't know the slope. I'm going to have to just guess that. And I would actually use a different tool for this normally, except for the fact that at the front there, you've got this kind of nice little detail. Well, don't know if it's that nice, but interesting detail where it slopes up from the side, and you'll need to work out a way of doing that. So I thought that's a good way of really getting used to the way that the roof by footprint tool actually works. And then, well, you'll see once I show you, it can give you some interesting results. Yeah, no, they're just kind of decorative.
But it looks like it's part of the wall.
Yeah,
that is part of the wall. That's a parapet. So that's just a, yeah. And then this is really a hip, and it's just the decorative treatment they've chosen. It's not really probably all that nice, or even it's not that common either. It's just, and I think I'd say probably what's happened is they might have even had a parapet going all the way across at one point, and then they've decided to just break the roof out to do an eave here later, maybe. Just guessing, but this looks like it could have been Victorian originally. You never know up that way though. There wasn't a lot of Victorian stuff in that area, but no, there was some. So it could easily have been Victorian. Mona Vale. Yep. Yeah, but there was some up there. So, starting point would be to get the main form in, and then I'll try to show you how to modify it to get the pitch. So also those hip bits on the side. So yeah, so level one ceiling is, yeah, so that's the one I've made for my ceiling. But remember, the way that roofs are often made is to have the rafters sitting on the wall at the same height as your ceiling. Yep. So you can use the same level. And so then with the, well, I'm going to go to the menu and just show you, I'm using roof by footprint. And I'm just going to guesstimate those slopes. And the first part will be really easy once you see how it makes these forms. So we'll get the slope here and here without much trouble at all. So that's the easy part. I'm going to use pick walls and pick the outside edge of this wall. And it's probably more than 30 degrees. I'd say it looks like about 60 at the front. And then at the back, or here actually, let's look at that image again. So to there is the first roof, and then we've got another roof at the back that's different. So, in fact, it's probably not even two-story there, so I've made a mistake there, but again, easy to change with Revit. So pick walls again. I'm going to pick this wall, and we'll try 10. It's probably not right, but just to give you the basic idea. So they're the two edges I definitely need a slope, and now I can turn the spine slope off and pick the walls at the top. Now there, that's on the wrong side, but notice how if I flip it, it's going to flip this one too, and I don't want that. So when the wall or the edge you pick using pick walls won't go where you want it to, remember you can always use pick lines, or sometimes it's even easier just to go and draw a line. So you don't have to use pick walls, and drawing lines is fine. So there, I've drawn the edge where I want it to go. So remember, the roof edge needs to sit inside the walls here at the top and the bottom. So here the roof comes out beyond. Now I'm going to fix that side too in a minute, if you're wondering about the eaves. We'll look at that in a second. But I just want to get you started. So if I use trim, now I can join these together and make a simplified version of the roof. So that's a rectangle. And again, just want to make it really clear how the slopes work. So the slope is just again from the left and the right, nothing from the top and the bottom, and those top and bottom edges sit inside the walls. These two edges sit on the outside of the walls. Tick to finish, and then in 3D, got something similar to what you can see in the image. So you've got a greater slope there, and then a lowest, a lesser angle here. So not far off actually, but still probably not quite right. So I can always select that, edit footprint, and I'll try, maybe it's 8 degrees. And maybe this is a bit less too, maybe that's, oh no, that's pretty steep. So I'm going to tick to finish and just see if that's better. Yeah, probably a bit closer. And now we can experiment with that. And I think actually that does need to slope a bit more. So edit footprint, and I'll change that to 55. That's probably better. So notice how this ridge height is just wherever those two angles join together. And I might make the roof thickness less by just choosing one of these thinner roofs. Generic 125 probably is okay. Right, so then we've got, and actually let's even look at that a bit more. That could be maybe even 50. So I just want to try and get that pretty close before going much further, because the next bit is a bit more complicated. So I've got a slope there that I'm happy with. But then looking at the front facade, we've got those strange, or that strange eave. So how do you get that to work? So back to the roof tool and edit footprint. I'll start by selecting this edge. And if you're wondering why they even give you this pick walls option instead of just letting you use pick lines, it's so that you can put in automatic overhangs and things like that, which you don't get with the other options. So there I can put in what I think the eave is, which is maybe about 400. And it'll just bring that edge out automatically from the wall. Tick to finish. And there you can see it's done that. So now I want the little bit of the parapet that comes around there. So with the wall selected. So any wall that you make in Revit will give you this option, which is extremely useful, to change the shape of the wall in elevation. So again, clicking anywhere on the edge of this wall, that option there, edit profile, is going to come up. One of the most useful options in Revit. You'll see you'll use this all the time. And I'm going to go into the plan view. So maybe just thinking a bit more about the elevations. Which side was I just looking at? Which is the front? Which elevation? North, south, east or west? West, exactly. That's right. So that's the way you want to be thinking. So west elevation there. I can go to it in the project browser and just double click on west. But if you just want to look at the arrows or look at the views in your plan, you can double click on the arrowhead. There's a quick way of opening up those. And now I can see my wall from the front and just select it. I could click on the edge, but it's giving me the floor. So remember, the option key tab will let you switch to something else, in this case the wall. And then again I can use that edit profile tool and draw in the parapet, just like you can see it in the picture. Now don't worry about the fact that it's joining in the middle, just ignore that. Revit will take care of that. So I'm going to join these together. I'm not being too fussy about the exact sizes here. I might make that a round number just so I can do the same on the other side. 800, that'll do. Okay, so things like this, you're not going to be changing that part of the building most likely, so don't be too fussy about the way you draw it. It's just to give an impression. So I've added that to my walls, and if I finish it now and look in 3D, you can see that part projecting. We're going to bring this wall up separately. So I'll leave that for now. But then what I wanted to show you with the roof is that I can go back again to Edit Footprint. So in Plan, think about what's happening with the slopes. Can you think about where it needs to slope from to get these little bits here?
Well, from the end of that little wall, but the top that's
Yeah, the parapet, yeah, from just near there, yeah, that's right. So yeah, exactly there. So this part here, the part that sticks out, needs to slope. So I've got to break that line so that I can make just that part of it slope. And so if I use split element, then I can break it there and up here as well. And then I need to know the slope here was 50. It's got to match. So I'm going to choose this edge, tick define slope, and make it the same. So same here, tick define slope, and make it 50. Done. So tick to finish. Now it's got a problem. This happens sometimes. It can't make it as one roof. Right, so the trick there is to make two roof shapes and join them together, which is always an option. So, okay, so I'm going to cancel that. Sometimes it is just too confusing for Revit. Okay, so trick there. Copy to clipboard, and then paste a line to same place. And this is something you need to do quite often in Revit, so that you can make two copies in the same place. And then I can just go and edit the first one, get rid of these lines, and then make it just for that first section. And so quite often this is what you need to do when you have different roof shapes. You can make more than one roof, and again just connect them afterwards. So define slope for both of those, and they'll all be 50 degrees. Why doesn't it? That's not right. It should be able to make that no problem. 50. My depth isn't enough. That's why it doesn't like that. So this edge here would need to be further out. There we are. And so even there, it's got, okay, this is where it gets a bit technical. This edge here is done with, don't want to get too technical. I'm just going to delete that line and draw it again. It's because I made it with pick walls, and it projects from a different height. And so the easiest solution there is just to redraw it as a regular line, and then it will be capable of doing what I want. So notice how now that the line there is on from the corner, not from the setback. And so now this roof can be modified to not include the overhang.
So you bring that one back in?
Yeah, and it could even go behind the parapet,
Yeah.
optionally. No, I won't do that. I'll just leave it there. It'll be simpler. And so then back to my section, and this can come down now, just to line up with the move tool, and then join geometry. We'll make them appear as one continuous roof. There we are. So, and actually they might even have different slopes. That could change slope. Or maybe, so actually you can see there the parapet's a bit steeper than the roof angle. So I'll go back and adjust that later maybe, but just want to give you the basic idea. So thinking about the tools I've just been showing you, what do you think you could possibly do then to make the wall on the side look like that. So I want to add this slope to the top of the wall.
So you want it to go over, you want it to have a hanging.
Yeah, it's a parapet extending above the roof. That's what a parapet is. So, same tool I used before to do the other parapet. Edit profile.
Yeah.
So if I go to edit profile now, this is usually the method, and same with your ceilings. Make the roof to get the slope, and then you can follow that with your walls and your ceilings and anything else. And so now I can pick lines and put an offset. I'm just going to say 200. Pick the edge of my roof, and it'll follow that angle, and then I can join these lines like that. And we don't need that one anymore. Tick to finish. There we go. So probably need to fine tune some of these heights to join it all together properly, and look at joining the roof and the wall there. Or no, sorry, I'll show you another way of doing that later. That actually needs to come back. And actually I'll show you that now. It's a really quick thing. So there, to go around the parapet, it's a bit of a trick. You need to have the edge like this, but where people get into trouble is overthinking it and thinking that you need to have the slope from here, when you don't. It will work properly if you just have the slope from this main edge at the front and don't put a slope on anything else except the back. So back to here, I can just draw, in fact I'll just draw lines, I won't even use pick lines. So you're just trying to think about how it is built in reality. You don't always have to model it exactly that way, but usually it's going to be easiest if you can. So there we are, so that's brought the roof back behind the wall. And then the very final thing, we've got a bit of a funny join there. So there's one last option you probably haven't thought about a lot because you would have been using the automatic joining. If you have a look in your plan view, you can't tell just by looking at it how those walls are joining together. We know they're joining together, but which wall is going through to the end, you don't know. If I select one of the walls though, then you can tell. This one is. This wall stops there. So how do you think Revit decides that? How do you think it decides which wall gets to go to the end and which wall doesn't? It's to do with the direction you draw the walls in the first place. So often you'll need to come back and adjust that afterwards, and you have there the wall joins tool for that. So when you're doing things like parapet walls for roof shapes like this, you'll often need to use this option. It's simple to use. You just go to wall joins. When you hover over any connected walls like this, it will give you a little rectangle to show you that it's found a wall join. Click to select it, and then it will show you which wall is extending to the corner. And often here you can just use the next option to cycle through the different possibilities. If you're interested in construction, have a look at the different options you have for mitre and things like that, which can be interesting as well. But here, but is the option you should have, and then again just using next, you'll probably get the option you want first go. So that's it, and I'll go back and show you now in 3D. That's right. So do the same on the other side. And so we're getting pretty close already to the shape of the building. So might have to look at doors and windows later, but that should give you a starting point. And maybe very quickly, because we're going to run out of time otherwise, I'll just show you a very quick way of setting up your sheets, which we did earlier, but I just want to make sure you can all do this. You've got normally a default sheet set to AO, which is useless, because it's got this Autodesk title block anyway. So just get into the habit of deleting that, and that'll force you to make a page that has a size you've chosen. So So again, that one there, A101, unnamed, in your sheets category. You right click and delete, yep, first go. And then right click on sheets all again and choose new sheet. Then load. And I've made a lot of extra title blocks for you in the Revit library folder there. Then you have title blocks and you'll see there all these extra page sizes. So it seems like you need to do 1 to 50s. Is that what everyone's going to need? No?
Oh, yeah, true.
Well, for interiors, that's, yeah, well,
This one says 1 to 100. The second stage of this is 150.
yeah.
First stage,
Yeah, look, 1 to 50 is pretty standard for interiors, but it's good to know how to do 1 to 100 as well. So then,
which one would you please?
Which one is for, is it A1 or A2?
so I think A2 should fit, but A1 will give you a bit more. No, A2 should be right. So I'm going to just do A2 for now.
A2 landscape.
Yeah, and yeah. So I've got here this A2 metric blank, no border, is one that is just completely blank, and it's landscape. So if I double click there, and OK, blank page, and even at this stage, without very much done, I could drag in a floor plan and see if it fits onto that page. So it definitely fits, but that's 1 to 100, and it seems like it's taking up most of the page. So what do you think you could do to make it fit better when it's 1 to 50? Because at 1 to 100, it's only just fitting. If I make it 1 to 50, do you remember what to do there? You can always go back into your view. And then I'm going to drag that across again. So think about what you're trying to show. This is what I'm trying to show. That's my page border. So my plan should fit on this page size. But I've got all this other stuff around the outside that's making it take up more room than it needs to. So a good option there when you're first setting it up is just delete it from the page and go back and fix it in the view. So yeah, delete the view, that's fine. You can delete the view off the page, that's okay. So I'm going to duplicate this view, and hopefully this is something you'll get used to the more you do the class with me, because I do this all the time. Right click on any view and you can go and choose duplicate view, and in this case duplicate is all I need. Get a right click and choose rename and call this ground floor print. So I'll set my scale, make sure that's 1 to 50. The reference planes can be hidden. So if you select one, right click, hide in view, category. That'll hide all of them. What about the elevations? Do you think for an interior design project you need to show exterior elevation symbols in your floor plan? These symbols?
No.
For interiors?
No.
No, definitely not. You might need interior elevation symbols later, but not exterior. So again, right click on those, hide in view, category. Take out anything you don't think is necessary. Section lines. Probably do want those. So shorten them so they're not too long. So all of these things make the plan take up less space on the page.
Whenever you change the ground floor plan, they will automatically change the first
No, that's the whole point. So if I go back to my original ground floor, you can see it has everything still showing. That's why I duplicated the view, so I can just change the graphics here. But if I go and add walls, they will show up in all of the views.
Okay.
So it's only these graphical things that are different.
Yeah, but I mean, if the ground floor, the walls layout change.
Yeah. Oh yes, that will change. Yeah, exactly. That's right.
I'm off my thing on the side. How do I do that?
Oh, okay. So go to your View tab, and then at the end you've got User Interface,
Oh, okay.
and then just tick the things you want there. Okay, so see how much cleaner that is? That's my ground floor plan with the things I don't need hidden. And if I then go back to my sheet that I know is A2 and drag ground floor print onto that page, how much better is that? So that's ready to print, and that will always be there. And so what I recommend usually is that you set these views up before you go and to try and do all of your design, or even before you model the whole existing building, because you can do this at a really early stage. And don't just do it for your ground floor plan, do it for all of your floor plans and your sections and other views as well. So maybe I'll just repeat that process for a section view, because it should then make it clear to you how organised your views are.
Can you go back a step? I got lost. I deleted my sheet.
Yep.
And then you went to load. Where did you load?
Yeah, so yeah, once you go there,
Oh, right click.
right click and then new sheet,
So right click, new sheet.
and then load at the top.
Oh,
Yeah, and then go to the title blocks folder in the Revit library. So that's your default library, but if you go to Revit library on the P drive, there's more. Okay, so I'll open up a section view so that you can see it probably doesn't need as much tidying up as the floor plan usually, but you can still do some things like shortening the levels and maybe bringing the outside border in. And maybe the section line there could be hidden just like I hid the other things in the plan. Okay, so now I can drag section 1 onto the sheet. That's 1 to 100. If I select it, I can change the scale to 1 to 50, even after it's been placed onto the sheet. So there we are. And we could probably have 2 sections on that page easily.
Why my section view box is so long? Rectangle.
That's just the way it starts out, so you just bring that in to suit your building.
That's A2. A2 bit of it.
Yep, yep. So you probably won't do it that quickly, your first few goes, but then once you get used to it, this is something that shouldn't take you very long. So as I add more to the design, of course, these views will still be there, and I can just come back anytime and print out my ground floor, my sections, they're all ready to go. Don't worry about these borders going around the outside of your views, they can be hidden anytime. So there we are.